When your ADHD brain gets overloaded with sensory stimuli and you feel completely bombarded, take a breath. You got this, kid. Hi friends, I'm Caroline Maguire and I'm here to talk about all things friendship with ADHD. Be sure to look at what environment you need to be social, engage with people, and actually, this is a revolutionary concept, enjoy yourself. Pushing through does not work. And this is advice you may have received if you're an adult with ADHD when you were a kid. I have found that there are environments that just do not work for us. And you can still have friends, be social, and engage. For many adults and children with ADHD, sensory overload can affect our relationships. When flooded with sensory information, the lights feel brighter, the sounds are louder, the crowds seem to close in on us. Sensory bombardment and overwhelm can be draining and anxiety provoking. To reduce the effects of overstimulation, we may try to cope by being quiet and going into ourselves and being miserable. So why not just stay home? Rather than opting out of all connection, we can employ strategies to cope with sensory overload and to find the right environment for us so that we can see friends, but maybe not in every situation. Okay, let's talk about how sensory information affects the ADHD brain. When one or more of the 5 senses are flooding the brain, people with ADHD may struggle to process competing sensory information. The brain, alerted to more stimuli than it can process, sounds an alarm, the danger is near, the body instinctually reads a signal as a threat and enters fight, flight, or freeze mode. So that alarm is beyond your control. So all the people who tell you to just push through don't really understand the science behind it, and I want to empower you to ignore them. Tip 1, share the struggle. As you may remember, my tip about a communisplation is my way to explain your needs, your neurology, so that you can say to people and explain to them what you need. You can say your diagnosis, but you don't have to. Have a go-to phrase such as, I get very bombarded and this is not the best environment for me. Or, I might sit this one out because it's hard for me to cope with so much noise. Or I'm thinking that I might go, but leave when the crowds get big. Or simply, I am not a crowds person. And without sharing, others can't support you. So give them a chance to support you. 2, propose alternatives. Rather than cocooning away or thinking that people won't adapt, if people want to connect, propose an alternative. If you know an environment is difficult to navigate and that it's going to push all your sensory buttons, perhaps this is not the best place to be social. Where else could you get together? Is there another activity that works? 3, watch for triggers. If you are aware that sensory overload impacts you, consider when and what circumstances are particularly triggering. You may not necessarily be able to identify or address all these things while you're in the moment, but you can watch for reactions, think about things afterwards, and the more you can forecast a trigger, the more you can look for the optimal environment that works for you. 4, engage in a pregame. I will link to a video I made on this topic with Jessica McCabe. I know preparing is not easy for all of us, but it alleviates anxiety. So for some people with ADHD, it is something that really helps. Parties, concerts, hallways, subway stations, crushes of people may not work for you. And identifying calming techniques in advance before the event and techniques to center yourself and take care of your limbic system and pre-planning for an event might be the best way to help you feel good. So I definitely advocate this. I know sometimes you rush into situations and you don't think of it, but if you can, it really does alleviate anxiety. Sensory overload is common for people with ADHD, and sometimes we have trouble paying attention and we have trouble coping because of sensory stimuli. If you are still affected strongly after employing the strategies that I've mentioned, definitely seek a doctor or a therapist to help you. And also remember that there are treatments for sensory overload and for sensory integration disorder, which if you're an adult with ADHD and you didn't get diagnosed till you were out of childhood, you may not have really realized all the things you've been coping with that you can get help for and that are totally part of many of our ADHD packages. Whatever it takes, be sure to take care of yourself and don't feel bad about this. This is part of what it is like to have ADHD. Thank you to everyone who stayed to the end. Please let me know what topics you need help with and what you want to talk about socially. Bye, friends.